Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the Grand Circle Tour podcast is about to air right this moment. Please remain seated and keep your seatbelt fastened at all times. Thank you.
The Disneyland Limited now leaving for a Grand Circle Tour of the Magic Kingdom. All passengers board.
Star Tours announces the boarding of the Endor Express. All passengers, please prepare for immediate boarding.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas. To those guests who've just joined us, welcome. For those of you standing, please hold on to the handrails throughout our journey and stay clear of the door.
Please keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the train and remain seated at all times. Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
I am Sam, the American Eagle, and I am proud to introduce the Grand Circle Tour podcast, a celebration of Disney parks, but mostly the American ones. I really like these guys.
Hi, passengers. Welcome to this week's episode number 61 on the Grand Circle Tour podcast. So this week's episode, we're taking a little bit of a fun adventure and talking all things cast members and Disney magic. What is Disney magic? Well, I have my two favorite co-hosts here today, and let's find out what's up with them. First, I have amazing Dan, the conductor. Dan, what's going on with you?
Hey, Mindy, how's it going? You know what? I love that we all call each other our favorites. I love how that's become our thing.
I know. We're all each other's favorites. You're right.
I know. What's up with me? I spent 2.5 hours this morning online, well, on a virtual line on the computer for New York Comic-Con tickets.
Oh.
And, how's that Disney related? Well, New York Comic-Con is in October this year. And 2 months later, Star Wars will be coming out. So we're looking forward to some awesome Star Wars panels. That's what I'm hoping for.
Star Wars panels? Is that what you said?
That's what I said,
oh,
yeah.
Oh, how cool. That's exciting. Yes, you're right. That does tie into Star Wars and all things Star Wars. That's so exciting. And then we have the amazing George on the podcast with us, my other favorite co-host. How are you, George? What's up?
I'm doing good, Mindy. How about yourself?
I'm so good. Tell us what's going on in your world.
What's up with me? Well, this past week, Disney's Hollywood Studios had celebrated a major milestone. Its 30th anniversary, which they had their big media day presentation where they released the new logo sign that's going to be out in front of the park. I got some tough opinions on that one, but I mean it's still nice. It's good, and then also part of the release of the 30th with the merchandise and everything, that Disney released concept art for a new sit-down restaurant in Toy Story Land.
That's right.
Roundup Barbecue, I believe that's what it's called.
Roundup Barbecue. I was kind of, I've always dreamt, and they kind of had one something similar that they called, but wouldn't it be amazing if you could go to an actual pizza planet?
Yeah, I thought if they were to do a sit-down restaurant in Toy Story Land, that would be something themed after Pizza Planet.
So I heard that the reason they didn't do that is because it would screw up the size. You know how you're supposed to be shrunk down to like the size
story.
of a toy. Yeah, exactly. And then if you went into Pizza Planet, you'd be back to adult size. So I'm not sure exactly what they're going to do with this new restaurant, but I think it's going to be.
I think it would be funny if they, because you are the size of a toy, that they designed the Pizza Planet to actually be a used pizza box from Pizza Planet that Woody kept.
That's awesome.
I've seen the, I guess the concept art of where they're putting this said restaurants. And when you said that, I thought, well, they could actually tie it in and pull any story out and be like, well, this is the entrance. And then when you leave it goes through a portal and you shrink. So I don't know, but I'm still waiting for the Pizza Planet to be able to go over and catch a real claw and, catch the little green aliens. I've always wanted to do that, but pizza at Walt Disney World does not have the best track record of tasting the best. So
yeah, why are we hoping for another pizza?
Yeah, so we might not want cardboard food. We'll vouch for the sit-down restaurants.
Well, and then also, speaking of pizza, Pizza Rizzo is also opening again. So we're all just excited about that.
Exactly. So that's what I'm talking about.
I always find myself at Pizza Rizzo for some reason, and I always hate it. I don't know why.
But you just keep going back, huh?
I don't know what's wrong with me.
with me being Italian with pizza, it's all about the sauce. If it's not the right sauce, the right consistency, the right taste, it's ruined for me.
That is so funny. Talking about food, so my Walt's Up, we actually have we went grocery shopping, and we do it every now and again. My husband gets Disney depression, and when our family does. So
don't we all?
Yeah. So my son's 14, and he'll go in his room, and we hear this, "Mom, Mom, Mom," out of his bedroom, and we have to get up and go see. And he sorry, I have the hiccups. He was watching YouTube videos of Disneyland. So, when Caden pulls those up, it's about time to go. And then Brandon starts watching it, and I had just happened to be on my phone, and I was scrolling through some old pictures, and I started watching some videos of our Disney cruise that we had just gone on, and he literally got a little teary-eyed. He's going to kill me for telling you this. But he got a little teary-eyed. I'm like, honey, are you getting Disney depression? He's like, yes. So when that happens, we find ourselves how can we bring the magic home? And we got stuff to make some churros at home and the gray stuff. We love making that. And also the amazing Monte Cristos. My husband knocks it out of the park, and we recreate Monte Cristos at home, and it's so delicious. So that is what, I don't know if it's going to happen today just because of what happened this morning, but it's on the plan for this week to make Monte Cristos. Hopefully tonight. It's already 5. We haven't started it, so it's probably going to happen for dinner tomorrow. But it's so fun to make Disney food. Have you guys made Disney food at home?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite go-to?
My wife makes Disneyland beef stew.
Oh.
Which I don't really know where they sell, but we found this website that had all recipes.
Okay.
She makes it, and she puts it in a little bread bowl and makes Mickey ears out of it, a hidden Mickey out of it, and we love it.
How about you, George? Do you cook Disney food at home?
We haven't done it yet. However, we got 2 cookbooks. Actually, Disney, of Disney desserts and meals that actually take you step by step of how they make them, and it actually tells you in a caption of where you can find that dish in the resort, whether it's at a hotel, at a theme park.
Isn't that the best? I do have that, and we love that. It's one of our go-to cookbooks. But yes, I love bringing Disney magic home, which segues right into our topic this week. Disney magic. What is Disney magic? Dan, what is your definition of Disney magic? What would you say why do we, as Disney lovers and our Disney dorkiness and nerdiness, and we're proud of it, comes out, but we always talk about Disney magic. What is Disney magic to you?
To me, Disney magic is the fact that when you're on a Disney vacation or when you're in a Disney park, you just don't have to worry about anything. Everyone is happy. Everyone is nice. They go out of their way to help you. The cast members, which I know we're going to speak a lot about on this episode, just take those extra steps that no matter where else you are in the world just doesn't happen.
You're so right. It really is a transportation to another realm. And as adults, and sometimes you hear the people that say, Disney's for kids. Why are you going again? You'll hear those people, and I think to myself, you know what? Maybe I'm a kid at heart, and that's why I love going, because when I walk through those gates, every worry that you have goes away. You leave that behind. You don't have to worry about bills. You don't have to worry about sicknesses or health issues or, tragedies that have been happening in your life, trials. All these trials are going to happen, and you can leave them behind and just go have fun for a day. And that's Disney magic to me. How about you, George? What is your definition of Disney magic?
I think it's something that it's very relatable to everyone. Like, they all have a different definition of what is Disney magic, and I think that's where it separates from any other type of amusement enterprise, where Disney magic can mean something as, giving a cast member a high four with a Mickey hand, or going on their favorite ride, or experiencing their favorite dinner at one of their favorite restaurants. And then I also think it ties into the history of the Walt Disney Company itself, that everything that it stood for, everything that Walt wanted it to be, there's a connection between him and the parks. So when you go in that, it's a different feeling than you just going to a typical amusement park or a carnival. It's a completely different aspect that it's almost too hard to describe in words. It's like you almost have to go and experience it yourself.
Oh, I love it. So there's some points that I want to talk to you guys about, and we can walk through this together, because really, what is Disney magic and why does it captivate us? That's the biggest question. And the first thing that I can think of is because we grew up with it. We grew up, for the most part, unless you find it as an adult, but for the most part, we grew up with it. Many of us have been Disney fans before we can remember. Is that fair to say for both of you guys?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So for most of us big Disney guru fans, it's been part of our lives. And it's been there with us every step of the way, from the time we were babies and trying to figure out how to be an adult, right? Disney has shown us and continues to show us magic. So growing up with it, how was your childhood different, and now taking it into adulthood? Like, what are the things you've brought along with you that you say, I know I did this as a kid, and now we're coming back and taking it full circle back to my children?
So I'll give you a few things that just come right out, in my memory. Obviously, I remember the vacations that I took to Disney World with my family, and those always stick with you. But there's a few other big things that I remember in my childhood. And number one is when I was very young, and just watching the Disney shorts, and just being captivated with animation, to be honest with you. And that was one of my first true loves. Then I realized I couldn't draw, so that was out the window for me. But another thing that was that was really big was I was a senior in high school, and you had to write a thesis on a person. Two people, actually. It was two theses that you had to write. And I thought long and hard, and I did mine on Walt Disney, and I spent months researching Walt Disney. Back then there was no internet, so I had to do everything through the library. But I just remember spending that half a semester in my senior year of high school, doing a lot of research on Walt Disney, and just kind of idolizing him, and thinking to myself, that's who I want to be, The other one that I did, by the way, ends up was Warren Buffett, who back then wasn't who Warren Buffett is now, but in a weird way, I sort of work for Warren Buffett now too. So there was one of my dreams came true.
Full circle, right? How about you, George? What have you felt like you've taken into adulthood from childhood, and who that it's made you today?
Believe it or not, almost exactly what Dan said. It's almost a complete replica. With me, again, just with him, it started out with the animation. It started with the Disney shorts. It started with the Disney films. Again, I put a shame to drawing a stick figure. It's horrible.
So true.
And
I mean, that's me. I can't draw to save my life.
Because it was always one of my dreams as a kid growing up. I wanted to be an animator, but pen to paper, not so good. But I, as growing up as a kid, and again, starting out with the film, starting with the shorts, and then I think I had mentioned this on a previous episode that my mom would buy me the Disney sing-along songs.
Yes.
The VHS tapes, and it would be, a Friend Like Me, The Bare Necessities, Under the Sea. But there was one Disney sing-along tape that caught my eye, and it was Disneyland Fun, where when you look at the case, it shows the backdrop of Sleeping Beauty Castle with Mickey Mouse, Minnie, Pluto, Donald, and Goofy, but they were in real time. Like they were, to a 3-year-old child, it was literally them. They were standing there, and I thought, this looks completely different. This isn't animated. This is real. And as I would constantly, and I would literally watch consistently over and over again. As soon as it would be over, I would rewind it and rewatch it again. And I kept on telling my mom, I said, is this a real place? Because it's showing real people. People are here having fun, meeting the characters, riding the rides. Can we go here? And then that's where it struck the conversation, because my mom knew of Disney. She knew of the company, but it was never really discussed actually until I brought it up, until she had. So I pretty much started the whole Disney phenomenon in my family. I was the hump that broke the camel's back.
I love it. See, we all have stories, and I appreciate this episode because our passengers, it's a little bit different of a speed for a show, but our passengers get to kind of get a glimpse into our lives and get to know us a little bit more. But as far as I go, my mom, I love my mom, and she has been such a huge part of my life, obviously, in the Disney world. She grew up, and her name is Melissa, and she went by Mickey. So her family called her Mickey, and she always has loved Mickey Mouse. Well, growing up in a home that we went to Disneyland all of the time growing up, it was just part of who we were. And taking that, the first time I went to Disneyland, I think I just had turned 5 years old, and I remember it. My grandmother sewed me a pair of overalls, and I remember going, and it was dark when we first got there, but going into the parks, and that's taken such a toll, taken into my life, and watching those videos and now teaching, I watched them growing up, and there's an episode, folks, for our passengers, go listen to it. It's about, what do you need to see before going to a park? And we talked, or going on a vacation. We talked about that specific one, George, the Disneyland sing-alongs. I watched that all the time. Like anything that had an infomercial or anything that was on ABC for Disneyland Fun, those fun episodes they'd have on Sunday night.
Can I actually stop you for a second?
Yeah.
If I can. Being that you just said that, that I had just gotten done watching a plethora of Disney 90s commercials.
Aren't they the best?
From the Disney afternoon, from the Saturday mornings, like with Tailspin and Darkwing Duck.
Yes.
I do. I jump on YouTube all the time, and for some reason, I like to go back and watch older Disney commercials.
Yeah.
It takes me back into that moment.
It does, and it's so much fun. And you're growing up with that. But what happened, full circle, my daughter, we had it on VHS, and I told this story before, but we put a little TV on a little tiny desk towards the floor so she couldn't pull the TV on top of her, and it was just really close. It was a VHS combo back in the day in 2002, and she was little, and she'd get the VHS and stick it in. And this was my VHS from growing up when I was a kid, but she destroyed that thing. She tried to take it out herself, and luckily they now have it on DVD, and we still watch it. My daughter will put it on, and her friends make fun of her. She's 17, and she's listening to Disneyland sing along and knows every single word, right? But those are the things that take us, and that's what I'm talking about. And before we segue into the topic, but these things in our lives that brought us to feel what Disney magic is, because Disney gives us something to believe in. Would you guys agree with that?
Yes.
At the end of every movie, there's something happy, and in the end, isn't that what we all want? Disney's taught us to fight for what we believe in. It's so we can have a happily ever after, because in real life it's not that simple, and we know it, but it's definitely a good place to start. And Disney is always a good place to start. So, for the most people, our passengers are obviously Disney lovers, and we love you guys, but it's who makes the magic. They bring the magic to life for us. And Disney does that. Disney works so hard to make magic real. We all, as adults or children or senior citizens, we all have the time in the parks or cruise or wherever we are to let go just for a moment. And we were talking about that, to believe in that magic. So if you haven't ever been to a Disney park, go, because the people you're going to meet are the ones that we're going to just take some time and say thank you to, and those are the cast members. It's impossible to not feel magic when you're at a park or even at home. You don't have to go to a park to feel the Disney magic. You can watch a movie, and like we're going to make Disney food just to feel some Disney magic. So with that said, cast members, they're the employees of Disney, and they work so hard to make our magic come to life. They work so hard, and sometimes as guests you see it, that people aren't so nice to them and can be rude. You guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I definitely seen that.
Yeah, and it's hard. I go out of my way. I actually have a shirt that says I love cast members and I love to wear it to the parks, and I will go out of my way to thank them and specifically talk to them. So let's talk about some Disney magic. And I've told the guys beforehand to think of some things and tell some stories that a cast member went out of their way to create Disney magic. So Dan, there are a few stories, and let's start with one that you would want to share with us that a cast member has done for you and your family.
So when Mindy told me about this topic, I started thinking, and it only took me a couple seconds to think of about, 20 different stories I could share. But I'm going to start with an obscure one, because I think this is an example that a cast member is a cast member no matter what they do for Disney, whether they are, the actor that plays one of the princesses, or whether they are a bus driver. And that's where my story is. We walked onto a bus. It was just my wife and myself. It was completely empty, right? Everyone knows the feeling when you get the empty bus. You're like very excited, right? You see it spread out. Doesn't happen often. And
I think it feels kind of like you're getting your own chauffeur. I mean,
right, exactly.
It's pretty cool, yeah.
So we get on the bus and we have our anniversary pins. So right away the bus driver says, "Hey, happy anniversary," Typical thing for a cast member to say. And we sit kind of to the front of the bus, and I just wish I would have remembered his name, but I just don't. So I'll just use Dave for an example. Dave Smith. So he's like, "Hey, did you guys hear the celebrity Dave Smith is at Disney right now?" And we're like, "No, like who? I don't know who Dave Smith is." "Oh, he's big famous guy. There's people all around, blah blah blah." So we're like, "All right, no problem." Kind of stopped the story, stopped talking to him. Got to Magic Kingdom, wherever we were going, and we're walking out, and he goes, "Remember that Dave Smith guy?" So I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "I got you an autograph," and he hands me a picture of himself that he autographed. It just made me start. I was just dying laughing. I started cracking up, and it was like such a great way to start your day, because I'm like, this guy, he had that joke going the whole entire way. I'm thinking to myself, I'm probably Googling it on my phone, like, who's Dave Smith? I don't even know who this guy is. And somewhere in my house, we still have that picture.
That is the best story. A cast member bus driver, they can make or break that bus. And it's so funny to get on a bus and you get that cast member that you can just tell loves their job.
I know.
They'll sing and they get on, and I know they're not supposed to try to use their what's it called? Their little overhead speaker too much because it can distract them. But man, we've gotten some great bus drivers, and it's you're right. It's so fun to get do those things and have him do that. So what a cool souvenir and a memory. And that's what they do. They create memories for us, and and you can't recreate them. That's the funny thing is we always remember that trip like, oh my gosh, it was so magical. It's so amazing. And then you go back, but you can't recreate an experience. You can try, but you can never recreate it because it's a feeling, not an event. It's something to live through and experience.
You know, it's all about storytelling, right? I mean, Walt Disney was the greatest storyteller of them all. And, you know, with these experiences, that's what these cast members are doing. They're telling a story to us, a story that we're going to remember.
Yeah, I love it. That is such a good story. So, George, how about you? Do you what's one of the stories that you'd want to share with a cast member that did something for you that you were just like, I'll never forget that?
Well, Dan, we must be sharing some ESP or something.
Is it a bus driver?
Yes, it actually involves a bus driver. I actually remember her name. Her name was Debbie. And it was for me and Jess's anniversary on July 27th it was 2017. And we were down there for our anniversary, our 4-year anniversary. And on the day of July 27th, we went to the Magic Kingdom, spent a few hours in the parks, and then we had dinner reservations at the California Grill. And we went back to our hotel. We got all dolled up and dressed up as we do for our anniversary. And just as we got all finished, you know, hair, makeup, everything. And then Jess got hers done. But no, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
I'm an Italian metro. What could I say? I take some time for my hair and make myself look pretty. But,
I'm dying. You're so funny.
As soon as we open the door, what happens? It starts to pour down rain. Yeah. And I'm not talking like a light drizzle. I mean like raining cats and dogs. So we ended up waiting a few minutes, and we thought, oh, we're going to be late. We are really going to be late. And I thought, I wonder if I should call, at least tell them, you know, the situation. And then I thought, no, we'll make it. We'll be fine. The rain let up. We dashed to the bus, and we knew we had to get to the Contemporary, but in order to do that with a bus, we had to, you know, get off at certain points and then get onto another bus. So we thought, let's just go straight to the Magic Kingdom, and then we would walk over. Mm-hmm. Well, while we were on the bus, Debbie, our bus driver, noticed we were all dressed up and everything. And because she was driving the Magic Kingdom, she had this look on her face when we were walking on, and she said, are you going? And she said, are you going to the Magic Kingdom like that? She says, I don't like she was a bit confused. I said, no, I said, it's our anniversary. It's, we have dinner reservations for the California Grill. And, you know, she, you know, made a big thing of it. You know, she said, happy anniversary. She was happy for us and everything. And we sat in the front. We were talking with her for a little bit. And then the rain came down again, pouring, couldn't see. And I thought, we're going to go in there smelling like wet dogs. So, and as we were approaching the main gate of the Magic Kingdom, everyone got off, and she said, I need the two of you to stay on here for a second. She said, I got to get in dispatch with my boss. So she got on the radio, got on with her boss. She was kind of talking a little low. We couldn't really make out what she was saying. And then afterwards, she said, I'm going to take a detour route. You stay on the bus. I'm actually going to drop you off in front of the Contemporary so you don't have to walk over.
Oh,
wow, very cool.
So we actually got a chauffeur drive, literally.
Wow.
right in front of the Contemporary when it wasn't even her route.
Oh my gosh. Did you cry?
It was very moving.
Yeah.
It was very moving.
Because I'm kind of like, I'm getting teary-eyed just hearing that. I don't cry a lot, you guys, but, you know, cast members will turn on the waterworks. I have a soft spot for them because I know how hard they work. And I know that they love to make Disney magic just like that, George. So one of my stories that I wrote down to share, I'd like to try to keep, when I say keep it short, so I'll do my best. My family had gone through a lot of struggles. My husband, I'm grateful he's alive. He got very, very sick in 2002, and I'm sure our passengers will get to know us, so I'll be open about it. I'm very, very transparent, and my husband doesn't mind me sharing, but I have to be careful what I share. He got sick with something called ulcerative colitis, and fast forward, I know that's a whole other story, but he got really, really sick, and we didn't know if he was going to get better, and we had to kind of put our lives on hold. So we hadn't been to Disneyland, and people laugh, but we hadn't been to Disneyland in almost 2 years. And we got to go. Finally, things got better by the grace of, I believe in God. So yes, that happened to me, and we got to go. Well, we went to go buy our tickets, and we weren't annual pass holders at this point. So we go. And we went the night early so we could have, 4 full days in the park. And we were so excited to go, you guys. This was like the trip that you just need, in your life. And we had looked so forward to it. We cried the whole way to Disneyland. And we get there, and it's nighttime. And my daughter and I we stay on Harbor Boulevard, which is really close to Disneyland. And we walked across that evening to get our tickets, because we wanted to get actual hard tickets so we could take them home instead of printing e-tickets out. So we went across, and we were waiting in the line by the ticket counter, and they get up to the kiosk, and we were just smiling. My daughter and I were there, and my husband and son were back at the hotel. And we show up, and we're like, I don't know her name, but she said, "Hi, Carolyn, how are you?" or whatever her name was, and super excited. And she goes, "Thank you for smiling. Thank you, because the last 3 guests that have come up to me wanted to renew their passports, and they were nothing but angry." And I know these ticket cast members work hard, and sometimes you have to tell people, I can't renew it, or give them bad news, and they can be unkind to them. So I just smiled, and I just said, we are here after something that has been an uphill fight in life. And sorry, this is what I'm talking about. I should not have done this episode.
It's all right, man.
But she said, hold on. So she goes, and she comes back maybe 10 minutes later. She disappeared, and my daughter and I were like, what is going on? And we had our almost $1,000 to pay for our said tickets, and she said, where do you live? And I told her, I said, Arizona. She's like, no, where do you live? And passengers, this is not something they just do. It's just some magic that they spread. And the manager comes over and says, you live in the Southern California area, don't you? And I said, why, yes, I do. And she had put it down, and she didn't give them to us for free, but she put us that we lived in Southern California and wrote us up as such, and took the difference of the money that we were going to have to spend on these tickets and put it on a gift card. And so she gave us discounted Disneyland tickets with extra magic morning and a $300 gift card to spend.
Wow.
And she just said to us, thank you for smiling. Smiles go a long way.
Wow.
Cast members go out of their way because they don't know, but that's why I love Disney. They change our lives when we aren't expecting it, like George going. I mean, they create magic like Dan and his story, but they do amazing things for us. And I'm not saying every single one of them, there's a bad apple in there. And yeah, sometimes there are mean ones, but for the most part, they are so kind. So that's my story for a cast member. Dan, do you have another one to share with us?
I don't know if I could beat that one, Mindy. I mean, I have a couple more.
No.
How about I give you some quick hits?
Okay.
All right. So some quick hits I'll give you. I didn't get the gift card like you did, Mindy, but I have gotten a free ice cream cone, and that was pretty rad. And I usually do the dining plan, so when I give them my magic band to swipe, and they go, "No, this one's on the house," just for no reason. I didn't do anything special, but I thought that was pretty cool. One of my favorite memories was my son Connor's 5th birthday. We were at the Garden Grill restaurant, which is a character restaurant, and Chip and Dale came by and Pluto came by, but we're all waiting for Mickey, right? Like, that's why we're here. We're waiting for Farmer Mickey to come by.
Aww.
And Mickey just walked right past our table at one point, and we said, okay, probably, new shift for Mickey or whatever. And Mickey just seemed like he was ignoring us, to be honest with you, until dessert came, and Mickey came around to our table holding a cupcake with a candle in it, singing happy birthday with the cast members.
Aww.
And that was one of my favorite memories that I'll probably ever have is how they did that for my son, on his 5th birthday. That was pretty cool.
That is amazing. And like I said, so the whole time you're thinking, Mickey's ignoring us.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, who can I complain to?
Again, it's like telling the story. He's like setting us up for the big reveal at the end,
Yep, it's so true. I love it. That's the best.
And then I'm sorry, George, I'm just going to jump in with one other one. Just to promote our podcast, but I've told this story before, but I was there this August and I had my Grand Circle Tour podcast t-shirt on, waiting online for, actually, no, it was when did Slinky Dog open? It was about June-ish?
June, yeah.
June of 2018.
Yeah, so it was right when Slinky Dog opened, and we were waiting in line, and the cast member came up to me and said, "Hey, what's up with the podcast shirt?" I said, "Oh, I host a podcast." And then she said, "Do you mind coming with me?" And I'm like, "Great, I'm getting kicked out because I have a Disney podcast." She let us cut the entire line because of this podcast.
That's so great.
Cut the line, got to sit front row. It's pretty awesome.
Note to self, wear podcast t-shirts to Disney.
Yes, passengers, go out and buy some Grand Circle Tour podcast t-shirts, and you too will be able to jump.
I almost said that exact same time you did. You too can get front of the line escorts from an amazing cast member. Anyway, George, do you have another story you'd like to share about amazing cast members?
I do. This is actually very unique, very touching, but yet very funny at the same time. This happened on the same day, but 2 separate cast members. This was during the Year of a Million Dreams promotion that Disney was having, I believe, back in 2007. And I went into Hollywood Studios, and I was doing a solo trip at the time, and I was by myself just walking around. And anytime that more so when I do a solo trip, that's when I get to talk a little bit one-on-one with cast members, because I have the time, I don't have to.
Right.
And I was talking with a cast member. I forget their name. It's been over 10 years, but I was telling them, how I'm a diehard Disney fan and my love for Disney and everything, and not expecting to get anything. And lo and behold, that they said, "I'll be right back." They said, "Can you wait right here?" And this was in the front of the park. This was by the guest relations area. And they came out and they gave me a golden fast pass for the day. So for the whole entire day at Hollywood Studios, I didn't have to wait in any line for anything. And then I thought, I thought, shoot, I wish that I was in the Magic Kingdom at the time
Yeah,
I
right.
mentioned it. So, but I thought, you know what, I'll take it at Hollywood Studios. And
You got a coveted golden fast pass, huh?
I did.
That is
And I just kept on
amazing.
riding Tower and Rockin' and Star Tours. And at the time it was still open with the great movie ride, Blessed Soul. But so that was the first part. I thought that was really awesome. That I've heard of it, but I thought I've never seen anyone actually get one, and I was the one that got it that year. And this was the funny part. Coming off and just walking around, I was on Sunset Boulevard, and me being an Italian with a thick head of hair in the Florida heat, it turns into cotton candy very quickly. And I'm walking down, and I usually carry a comb with me in the back part of my pocket. And one of the residents of on Sunset Boulevard, one of the actors, they come up to me and they're like doing their Hollywood, 40s, 50s accent, like, darling, look at that hair, it's atrocious. What are we going to do with that? I said, trust me, I wish I could do something with it. I said, all I have is a comb. I was playing along with them. And they ended up going to their station and they pull out this mini water bottle. They come over and they start spritzing my hair with the water. They comically take the comb out of my hand and they're like, hey, we'll fix it up for you. And they're literally combing my hair and styling it for me. And I thought, this is so funny but awkward at the same time.
That's great.
That is so great. See, how can you'll never forget that, George. You will never forget that.
No, that was a once in a lifetime moment for me, and I'm just like standing in the center of Sunset Boulevard while everyone's passing, and I'm like, I got this stranger fixing my hair, and
cast members have a job that is so unique because they create so many lasting memories just like that. And that, that guy, whoever did that, is in bed and probably does not even remember. But to us, it's memories that we will take with us forever. And, the last one that I have a whole bunch that would bring tears to your eyes because I don't know how that happens to me, but I just do. I have so many cast members that just go out of their way to just do these amazing things. And let's see, the one that I would talk to, I'm trying to think, there's so many. So my daughter, this wasn't so heartfelt, but it's really cute. We had a tendency growing up when she's little to dress her in costumes because she loved, every little girl loves to wear their Disney dresses to Disneyland or Disney World or the cruise. And she had this specific Alice in Wonderland dress. And she'd always seen, Alice and the Mad Hatter going on Storybook Land canal boats or riding teacups with some children. And so we actually, her costume was to the T. I even made a little, like her little petticoat underneath and I made her little bloomers. I mean, her costume was spot on and she wore it. And she had to have been like 7 at this time. She was pretty, not little, but older. And she says, Mom, look what I did. So she drew Alice, knowing we were going to go. She drew Alice and the Mad Hatter an unbirthday card. And this was not planned. So this is all the little kid thinking this. So she says, I'm going to ask them if they'll ride the attraction with me. And I was like, oh, honey, I'm like Debbie Downer here going, honey, they're so busy. They're not going to be able to do that. No, I'm going to go. So fast forward, we get to Disneyland and we're over by the teacups and she sees none other than Mad Hatter and Alice walking around because in that park, they can just roam freely. And of course, they're mobbed by parents and children and wanting autographs and to take pictures. And out of the corner of her eye, Alice sees Cecily and she runs over to her and she grabs her by the hand, and she says, "Oh, look who I found," and takes her over to Mad Hatter. And at this point, Brandon's recording the whole thing, and these parents, excuse me, but they're getting pissed. They're so mad, and they're like, "Why is she getting all this attention, this little girl?" Because now they take Cecily around, and they sit down on a bench with her over there, and they're like reading her card. And it's, "Oh, you gave us an unbirthday card. Will you go in the attraction with me?" And lo and behold, they get up and they take her and walk through the exit to Storybook Land and it was just the four of us, them, and the cast member doing the boat, and we got to take a trip on. So you never know. You can always
That's awesome.
ask. It just happened. And then she says, "Where are you going to be at 4:00?" He's like, "Tell us where to be." She says, "Meet us over at Refreshment Corner," which is Coke Corner over on Main Street. And they play, if you ever go to Disneyland, you guys go there. It's never in a time thing, but they play musical chairs with the kids. They'll have Captain Hook there, and Mary Poppins will come, and Alice and Mad Hatter and Peter Pan. Those are the ones that typically like to show up for that. And a lot of them, all of them will be there at the same time. So they like to play musical chairs. Well, they bring Cecily over. We had no idea. And she got to play musical chairs. But afterwards, she took Cecily, Alice did, into the back. Like said, "Is it okay? I went with her." They took us behind the scenes into a room and digs out these buttons for Cecily. And she still has them. And she gave her a handwritten, and she had it all planned. She knew we were going to meet her there with Alice and the Mad Hatter, and like a little gift box thing for Cecily that said, "Thank you for the ride, and come back and see us." So these cast members go out of their way to make magic happen, and that's why I'll keep coming back. That's why no matter how much a ticket price goes up, my family's going to be there to fork it over. I'm the meme that says, "Disney, take my money." Because of experiences like that, you can't put a price on those things, and cast members can never be paid enough. They need to be paid more for what they do and the magic that they spread. Are there any more stories you guys want to share? Those were my two. There's so many more. Passengers, please leave us a comment on the page and tell us your cast member stories. We'd love to hear them and share those with us, because cast members do go out of their way, and they deserve that time and recognition. George, is there anything else you want to say about cast members?
Yeah, there is one more if we have some.
Sure, absolutely.
Now that you speak of it, this was during a character experience. This was our son's first trip to Disney World, and he got to meet Cinderella's stepsisters, Anastasia and Drizella.
The best.
They just put on this huge performance like no other. They were just trying to get him so hard to get him to fall for them, and he become their Prince Charming and everything. And they had him up there for a good, I would say, 10 minutes. Easy. Like just him. I mean, the line was growing, but they didn't care. They would not stop until they got him to crack, so to speak, of saying, "Yeah, I'll take one of you out," or, I'll take, and without missing a beat, Josh being 4 years old, after it was all said and done, that he tried, we had the pictures taken, they tried, and he says, "I don't want either one of you. I want Cinderella." So it was just that moment where, especially with it being his first experience and knowing the characters, how they are in the movies, and getting to see them in person, them trying their hardest to win his heart and everything, and him actually knowing how they are, how they react, and especially how they feel towards Cinderella, that he just threw it in their face, and without missing a beat, being Anastasia and Drizella, they just put on a performance that was priceless.
It's awesome.
Those are, character interactions are always so much fun. And especially those two, Anastasia and Gisela, are hilarious. And it's really funny. You can talk to them. Guys, take the time to ask characters questions because, obviously be relatable to their film that they're in. But if you ask Anastasia or Gisela if they'll marry you, it's really funny. Like, they do the whole bit of, I've seen, like, we went to 1900 Park Fair, which they are for breakfast, and brought a one of those, what are they called, like the sucker rings, what are they called?
Ring pop?
Ring pops, or ring pop. Oh yeah, bring a ring pop to them and see what happens. It's really funny. Yeah. Dan, is there anything else you wanted to say about cast members before we go?
Yes. The last thing I want to say is when you are waiting on a queue or a line, talk to the cast members that are there. You can strike up some fascinating conversations because most of the cast members that are working the queue of that specific attraction will have some history. They'll know the history of the attraction, and just start random conversation with them. I try to do it as often as I can, and it's a good way to pass the time, but it's a good way to learn a little bit about what attraction you're going on.
Oh man, that has to be the best tip so far. Like, that is so great because you're right. That's what I do. That's why I love cast members. I go out of my way to make conversations with them because dang, they know so much and they're so fun to talk to, and they can teach you things that even us as like self-proclaimed gurus and aficionados, they teach us things, or they make magic happen. That's how it happens.
Yep.
You start talking to them. Hey, you want to go see the graveyard behind the haunted mansion? Come on, let's go. And they'll take you. Like, talk to the cast members. They will make magic happen for you. Don't expect it, but when it does, be so grateful. George, is there something else you want to say?
And this is for the passengers that may not be too familiar with interacting with cast members, but believe it or not, you can get just as much fun, funny, interesting interaction you can with a everyday cast member just as much as you do with the characters.
Yeah.
And they love that interaction.
Yep.
They love it.
They want to be a part of it. So if you could just give them a little bit more back as a customer, as a visitor, as a guest, that they give to everyone on a day-to-day basis, it really does go a long way.
It does. Always tell them thank you. If, like I said, there's always a bad apple and they can be rude, but let it go, let it slide, because really there's probably a guest that was really mean to them, or they've just having an off day. But for the most part, cast members are the magic makers, and the magic is real. So with that said, because maybe we'll never have Tinkerbell by our side, sprinkling pixie dust on us so we can fly. Maybe we'll never have a genie to grant us 3 wishes. But we'll always have is Disney. We'll always be the people that can walk through the gates and transported to a whole new world. Disney truly is and has the ability to get you out of your head and out of your day-to-day life. It's something, it's fun to believe in. It's recognizing that one part of your heart that will always be a child filled with wonders and adventures and mischief and mistakes. It's bravery, respect, it's kindness, it's love and joy. It's Disney, and Disney makes the magic. So if you haven't been to a Disney park and have depression, I'm sorry, passengers, you have it now. So get to a park, get to a Disney movie, have a family night with Disney, feel the magic. And without saying any more, and again, passengers, leave us a comment. We want to hear your cast member experiences or how you've experienced the magic. And thank you so much for the ride, and take it away, Ken.
If you would like to keep the adventure going after the show, be sure to like our Facebook friends page, Grand Circle Tour Magical Ticket Holders. While on Facebook, like our group page, Grand Circle Tour. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Grand Circle Tour Podcast, as well as Instagram, GCT Podcast, and our YouTube channel, Grand Circle Tour. If you would like to send us a message, you can email us at gctpodcast@gmail.com. T-shirts and other fun merchandise can be found at tpublic.com. Simply search Grand Circle Tour Podcast. If you enjoyed your adventure, leave us a review on Apple Podcast. Only one rule, make it good. Thank you for riding with us, and welcome home.